Hi everyone, and welcome to the Aquarius March 2022 Illumination reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot, a place for you to better connect with and illuminate your own personal spiritual importance. So this reading is meant to help you find the meaning in the challenge or challenges you are currently experiencing so that you can better answer the why. Why am I being asked to face these challenges? What in facing and overcoming them am I meant to illuminate about my path and purpose and some aspect of my unique self that is meant to not only be of service to me, but to service to the greater collective experience. So let's get right into your reading, Aquarius. I'm first going to pull a card or some cards, depending on what comes out, to take a look at what you're moving into March internally with. What's your internal energy? And we're going to take a look at what's going on in your external environment, and then the why. Why is Spirit asking you to engage this internal energy with your external environment? What are you going to learn about yourself in doing so? Let's see, what does Aquarius, my apologies. Let's take a look and see what's going on. Oh, interesting, because this is actually the card that came out for Libra as their main kind of overall lesson. So maybe you are dealing with a Libra or you have Libra in your chart. So, all right. So Aquarius, very interesting here. Okay. We have your card. Actually, I'm sorry, it's not your card, but it is an air sign card coming out that represents somewhat of your energy here. So we'll get right into this. Your internal energy for the month of March is the Seven of Pentacles. This is a card where we are stopping to take a pause to reevaluate what we have in some aspect of our physical experience, what we have gotten back, basically a return on our investment. What have we been putting time and energy towards, and now really what does this look like? So a good example of this would be, let's say you've been putting a bunch of effort into growing a bush in your backyard, and you thought that this was going to be a blackberry bush, and you got all excited, here comes summer, and you go out to pick your blackberries and you realize that this bush actually is growing blueberries. And this is now that moment where you have a kind of a divine pause to connect with Spirit and be able to evaluate what has come through, and if you want to continue to put effort towards this endeavor or not, or if it's time to kind of go back and maybe start fresh. So when we think about, let's say we thought we were planting a blackberry bush and instead we realize we've been growing blueberries, there's this moment of where we're going to have to stop and think, well, can we do something with these blueberries? Maybe you like blueberries just as much or even better. And so you're going to continue to put time and effort moving forward into this. Now, it could be the opposite, where you look at blueberries and maybe you don't like blueberries. Maybe you're allergic to blueberries. Maybe you have just nothing that you can do with these blueberries. And so now it's that time to really evaluate, what am I going to be able to, what do I need to do from here? Does this mean that I have to basically rip out the plant and, start fresh? Or, hold on just a moment, guys. My apologies, Aquarius. I had to run downstairs real fast to attend to my daughter. All right, so to get back into this. So basically, this is a chance for you to evaluate what is going on currently in some aspect of something you've been putting time and energy towards in your physical environment. So again, this could be that you make the decision after reevaluation to continue basically to take the steps that you are currently doing towards something, or to stop and change something, meaning that if the results are not what you were expecting, that you have this opportunity now to make a change. Because in your external environment, we have the Nine of Wands. The Nine of Wands is a feeling of kind of, if you could sum up that card, it's almost like, ugh, I've come so far and I'm still standing, but ugh. It's a card of the weary warrior. It's somebody who has been taking lots of action towards something, but there's this kind of almost like getting to a point of exhaustion where you're just like, I need some rest. I don't know if I can keep going. Or if I do, I need to really stop and give myself this time to kind of rest and regroup, which is interesting between these two cards here with the Seven of Pentacles and the Nine of Wands. There's a little bit of this. In fact, it looks almost like the person's almost kind of standing very similarly here, leaning on his wand. That it's almost like you're at this place of like, ugh, I've come so far, I've done so much. I don't know if I'm happy with what I've been working towards. And I don't know if I really want to I don't know if I have the energy to take it to the final kind of, I would say, almost like resting place, which when we think of after the Nine of Wands comes the Ten of Wands. And that's when you carry your burden to its final resting place and you release that burden and you move forward again with a new cycle and just with one wand. So there is this feeling here of like, you're so close to the destination, but you don't know if ultimately you can make it or even if you want to. Now, why are you kind of going through this period of reevaluation in your life? Because of the Queen of Swords. Now, the Queen of Swords is a card that really focuses on understanding the truth of how far you've come, of what you're truly capable of, and what you've learned in going through basically the journey up to this point. And it's about being able to freely express that. And she holds her hand up to allow others, she invites others to share their story as well as she shares hers. Now, where this can become a kind of double-edged sword, so to speak, is the shadow energy of this is when, instead of speaking about how far we've come from a place of empowerment and the knowledge and the lessons that we have learned in kind of going through our journey, instead she speaks to it from a place of either wounding or overgeneralization, meaning that she is, let's say she has gone through a really tough marriage that might have ended in divorce. And it was, she was working towards one thing, and then it just ended up in nothing, and kind of pain and heartbreak and loss. And so instead of saying, I really came so far in that relationship, I saw what I'm capable of, and I really see what works for me and what doesn't in a relationship. And I'm a much stronger person now, and I'll move into the next relationship as this more empowered version of myself. Instead, she would simply be the person to state, well, all marriages end bad because mine did. And so I will never try that again. And that's, again, an overgeneralization to say just because of your one experience that all people who experience that experience will see it or have the same outcome. And so this is where, when we're thinking about kind of the lesson to be learned here, this is really about coming to a place where we understand how we communicate our story and how we communicate in general can really change how other people view us, what we allow people to come in and share with us so that we can gain more information and new perspectives. And it also allows others to be able to really see our experience from a place of how far we've come and what we are capable of. So in kind of speaking out how strong you are and how much you've gone through, and speaking from this place of empowerment, you allow others to come in to do the same. So you start to kind of pull in people who are as open and strong as you. And that's really kind of the lesson to be learned here, is that you do have a story to share, a powerful one, and one that allows others to feel comfortable in doing the same. But there's something here about really something you've been working on to where you just don't feel internally happy with it, and you're sitting with it. But externally, you don't want to do anything because you're tired, because you're exhausted, because you're like, I've been doing the same thing for a long time. And I don't know if I have the ability to change, to do what I need to do to make this a different outcome, or to make this more in alignment with a version of a truth that I want to express. Okay, Aquarius, let's go ahead here and see what are the blocks between really you being able to kind of come out from this evaluation period and be able to really get into a place of personal empowerment where you can take empowered action. So we have the Knight of Swords, we have the Page of Wands, the Ten of Cups at the heart of your reading, which is such a beautiful card to have there. Let's see what comes up as the final two cards here for you, Aquarius. So the Knight of Swords is in your primary challenge position here. The Knight of Swords can be one of kind of the, I like to call it the drive-by knight. This is somebody who, let's say you and your friend were having a, kind of maybe political conversation or some, conversation where you guys are going back and forth. And this would be where somebody else who's kind of on the periphery hears the conversation and just comes in and lays down a truth bomb or gives their opinion, and then just doesn't want to be part of the conversation. They just want to state what they want to state and then move on because they're not strong enough to stand or perhaps maybe not strong enough. Maybe they just don't have the wisdom yet. They're a knight. They're not a king. They're not a queen. They have more of this kind of almost like, I gotta go, I gotta keep going. And so there's this feeling of somebody who perhaps isn't mature enough to understand that when we want to share an opinion or share a truth, we kind of have to stay steady to that. And we have to understand where it's coming from in the context that that truth is for us or comes from with us, so that we can kind of stand in our power to continue the discussion if people want to know more. It's kind of what I feel with this card here is that people might want to know more about your experience. And it can't come in this kind of rushed and just kind of like drive-by night, kind of like verbal vomit, kind of cut and run type way. It's something that has to really be expressed from a place of empowerment, a place where you, again, it's an equal give and take, that I share as much as you can share. And what comes right after that is the Page of Wands. So the Page of Wands is a beautiful energy, one of almost being reconnected with your eternal flame, your individual passion, but looking at it now with fresh eyes, like the eyes of a child who sees it with awe and wonder for the first time. And when we think about, trying to overcome this kind of like weary warrior mentality, this like, I've come so far, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. There's this feeling of, remember what you first loved about when you first started this journey. What was it that lit your flame, that lit that passion within you? What is it, when you look at it now again, can you take it out with fresh eyes and see the aspect of yourself that you first wanted right here to invest in, that part of yourself that you're like, I am ready and willing to put the blood, sweat, and tears into growing this bush. I am ready and willing to put the, the time and the effort. And I, when I first started this journey, maybe I didn't think it was going to take me this long. But it has. But now you're being asked, in order to kind of come out of this place of just, I think, kind of almost being like stuck a little bit, that you're being asked to reconnect with the beauty of yourself, of your unique passion. And look at it again from a place of awe and wonder, of like, oh my gosh, I've been gifted with this. This is an incredible gift. And it's something that maybe now I take for granted because it comes so easily for me, but this is an amazing gift. Because in the heart of your reading, the card that Spirit is asking you, the energy Spirit's asking you to embrace to help you through all of this is the Ten of Cups. And the Ten of Cups is when we get to experience our ultimate heart's fulfillment made manifest. And so there is this strong message coming through of it's time for you to connect with what that is. It's time for you to allow yourself as well to have faith that it can be possible for you. That's something that's really coming in strong here, because on both sides we have two pages. We have this kind of childlike, innocent quality of reconnecting with passion, and on the other side we have the Page of Cups, which is this beautiful kind of almost like wearing your heart on your sleeve, offering towards this Ten of Cups. It's like the kid who does believe that Santa Claus is real and that Santa Claus is going to come down the chimney and give him or her everything that they were hoping to have, including the house on 34th Street. But there's this feeling of that, of reconnecting to this innocent part of yourself, realizing the beauty that lies within you, and really embracing what this ultimate emotional fulfillment would feel like for you. What is it that you want out of life that would feel like heaven on earth for you? Is that a family you've been denying yourself? Or the romantic partnership you've been too afraid to commit to? Is this the ultimate, in private business that you wanted so much for yourself? And maybe you've put a lot of, if we think about this, whether this is a relationship or whether this is maybe a business or a work that you've put time and energy towards, you may have put a lot of time and energy towards something, and now you're looking at it going, is this, this business isn't really what I anticipated, but can I turn it into something that will now work for me with a new, fresh perspective on my passion? Or can I face this feeling of like, do I really have to like scrap it and start over from scratch? But if this isn't in alignment with your Ten of Cups, yeah, you do. Because ultimately you're not going to feel this if you don't take the action now to kind of close out this cycle so that you can start fresh, so that you can stabilize yourself and move from the Knight into the Queen, to be able to share with others how far you've come. Because it's not always an empowering story to hear. If somebody's like, yeah, I started this business and I really don't care about it now. It doesn't really do anything for me, but I put all this time and effort into it, and so I just keep doing it. And it's like, do you think we would have really looked at Steve Jobs or Oprah Winfrey or Martha Stewart, or pick a hero in your own personal life, if they literally told us, at the end of their lives, like, yeah, I really just didn't really care about, the outcome. I'm actually kind of disappointed with the outcome of all my efforts, but I just kept doing it because it was too hard to go back and start again. It's like, no. The most powerful stories are the ones of true transformation, where people had to stop and transform who they were. They had to stop and go back and scrap an original idea and start again fresh. And that's the story that others need to hear. That's the story that will empower others as much as it empowers you to share it. Because what you're being asked to embrace now is your Ten of Cups. What is that? And how is it something that you have been, I'm getting this strongly, too afraid to lean into for yourself? That, again, we sometimes think that, this is all we can get. The Seven of Pentacles can sometimes be where we're disappointed with something and how it's turned out, and we think, well, I guess this is, all I get are blueberries. I really wanted those blackberries, and those blackberries would have made my life so wonderful, but well, I guess it's just up to God or Spirit, and all they wanted me to have was blueberries, so I guess I'll just resign myself to blueberries. And it's like, no, it's not about resigning yourself to what is. That's when we realize that, yes, we do have to realize and appreciate what is in the moment, because that's how it allows us to see, okay, what do we have to work with right now to start the change, to start that process, to start me really starting to feel that little twinge of hope of like, actually, yeah, maybe this relationship isn't exactly what I had hoped for. Maybe I always thought that I was going to, by this point in life, be married with 4 kids in the perfect home, and that's not what I have. I instead have a significant other who works a good deal more than I do, and we haven't even talked about having kids, and we live in, a 1-bedroom apartment that is nowhere close to the 4-bedroom home that I've always wanted, in the suburbs or whatever. And it's time to say, okay, well, let's take a look at that realistically. It's time to start kind of looking at, well, that may be a reality. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't have all of those things with your current partner. It's now, what are the steps that you can start to take to start to change a little bit of this? And it may seem exhausting. Like, I don't want to have that conversation. I don't want to talk about like, well, do you want to have kids? Is it time now? Like, do you want to move out of this 1-bedroom apartment? But this is where, in taking those small action steps, you allow the 10 of Cups to unfold. By allowing yourself to express what it truly is that you want, you allow others to express what they want, and that's what opens up the doorway, the channel for you to really allow yourself to step forward into the 10 of Cups. Because if you admit to your partner here right now that in reevaluating your partnership and your current state of affairs in your life, and that it's not what you had envisioned for yourself, and you'd like to start to move forward towards that, if that your partner says, well, thank you, I'm glad that you shared that with me, but I don't feel that same way. I don't want to have children now, or I love my work and I want to be close to my work, and that means that we have to stay in the city and we can't move to the suburbs. Then that's where you get a chance to start to say, okay, well, maybe this is that tough decision. This is that final hurdle that I have to do to close out this cycle so that I can start to go towards my 10 of Cups. But I first need to know what that 10 of Cups is. I first need to know why what I have currently is not making me happy. Why am I looking at it with kind of this discontent? Because your final chapter, your final challenge here is the Emperor. Very powerful card. This is the card of, when we think about each one of us, is the Emperor in our own lives. We each have our own empire. It's our life experience. But where this can be a final challenge is where we are kind of the gatekeeper to our own destiny, where we are telling ourselves like, nope, this is the way it is. This is how it's going to be. I'm going to just muscle forward, or you can't possibly do this. And we end up kind of sabotaging ourselves, because instead of standing up strongly for what we want to create for ourselves, the empire around the 10 of Cups at the heart of it, instead we stand strong and say, nope, I can't give that to myself. I don't want to face this. I don't want to, it's not in my best interest because of how much time and energy I've put in, and I'm just going to be the gatekeeper. I'm going to say no. What we have clarifying the Emperor is the 3 of Cups, 2 of Wands, and the 6 of Swords. So there is something here around, this could be where you're having to kind of make a decision to leave a social circle. There's something here around, I feel like there's a fear around moving on, like you're the Emperor trying to stop yourself from moving on from almost, or moving on and making a decision based on, I'm getting strong with the 3 of Cups coming through, this feeling of maybe gossip, what other people are going to say, how you're going to be judged by your social circle, and that there's this feeling of kind of holding yourself back because, well, if I make that decision, what is everybody else going to say? And it's like, no, it's time to move on from that. 6 of Swords is a beautiful card of transcendence. It's when we get to move on, literally, from stormy waters to calmer waters, and we get to, I think about the Knight of Swords here, where he's kind of just gallops in with his sword, and makes me actually think, I don't know if any of you are Monty Python fans, but I sure am. And there's the beginning scene of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which is when the knight comes in and, like, stabs the guy who is in the present day, giving a kind of interview or filming a kind of documentary kind of thing, and then the knight just kind of comes in and kills him and, like, runs off, and everybody's like, what? What just happened? And it's almost like that. I feel like there's a little bit of that energy, I think, kind of going on in your life for some time, where I think people in your life didn't quite know how to take you, because the way you were expressing your truth never really quite came out fully formed. It was always kind of like this, like, drive-by, like, wounding or fruiting, whatever you want to take a look at it, if the swords are a little too sharp and graphic for you. But there's this element of kind of like, you just kind of came in and verbal vomited your truth and ran away, and it's like, well, now it's time to realize that we can't always make our decisions based on what we think others are going to think of us. We have to move above that and realize that we each have within us our own, in our heart of hearts, a 10 of cups that we want to fill from our individual cup between us and the divine. And in order for us to be able to do that, we have to realize that everybody else has their own cup as well, and their own 10 of cups that they are filling from their cup, and that no two people's 10 of cups will ever be the same. And so there is this feeling here of, having to kind of understand that, so that you can transcend this feeling of, well, what will others think if, to instead make this decision of, where do I go from here, and be able to transcend your current circumstance, to be able to move on from kind of sitting in this place of like, ugh, this is all I got, this is all I'm gonna have, to like, no, I can have that and so much more, and this is what I really want. And I know it's gonna be tough, and I know it might, I'm tired, but I have to push forward this one last time, because it's going to allow you to have this incredible story to tell. And it's going to open up others, again, to share in your experience, who can also help lead you towards the 10 of Cups. Beautiful message here, Aquarius. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull 3 cards now for the concept of curiosity, courage, and contemplation. And we're going to engage the Triad of Engagement, where we're going to look at what Spirit would like you to be curious about for the month of March, where Spirit would like you to have the courage to take action, and a final point of contemplation or reflection for the month of March. So we have Goddess of the Moon, number 52, breaking down to a 7. And I love the 2 number 7s here. 7 to me does represent a divine pause, a time to reconnect with Spirit, to reevaluate something in your current experience. And the Goddess of the Moon kind of harnesses the energy of the Moon card in the tarot, which is one of, the way may not be clear. There's a little bit of kind of, can you walk this path on faith? But there's also this deep connection to intuition, this deep connection to, you can walk the path on faith even in the darkness or the pale light from the moon, because Spirit is going to guide each step that you take. And you may not see the full picture now, but know that the reason why this doesn't suit you is because there's more. There's more for you, and Spirit is trying to guide you towards it. So a question to ask yourself for the month of March, as far as where to be curious and open to, is, where are you holding yourself back from really moving forward and taking action towards your 10 of Cups, because you're afraid of what is unknown. You're afraid of, well, what is this going to look like? I might have just a sliver of this feeling of what I really want for myself, and I might not even be able to fully form it and see it. So what right do I have to walk away from something that's already kind of sort of here and established, when I don't even know what this would look like? And that's really where allow Spirit to kind of come in to give you that faith, and to also, I think, point the way, so that you're going to see like the next baby step to take, and to trust to really trust and have faith. Okay, Aquarius, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull a final card, or not a final card, I'm sorry, second to final card. I'm going to pull a card for the concept of courage, and this is where Spirit would like you to have the courage to take action. Oh, I love it. So it says, surrender comparisons with other people, which is a perfect message here. It says, keep your eyes trained on yourself, focus on your own strengths, attractiveness, and power. And this speaks right into what this is saying over here. You can't compare yourself to other people. And it might mean that you have to, leave a group of people behind. That might have been a support group for you. Or you might have to, hear the cluckings of somebody else's tongue behind you who they don't see your vision. But that doesn't matter, because again, the realization is that everybody has their own life experience. And what will feel like the Ten of Cups for them is very different than what the Ten of Cups feels like for you. And so it's not about comparing yourself to other people. It's about comparing yourself to yourself. And to say, am I living up to my truest potential? Am I living in a way that is going to lead to my Ten of Cups? Am I using my Ten of Cups as kind of the anchoring vision, emotion that I'm emotionally connected to allow myself to see the way forward? That's really what you need to compare yourself to, is the ultimate version of yourself, not another person. Okay, Aquarius. And again, this all comes back to reconnecting with your unique passion as well. What is it about you that makes you unique and special? And where have you perhaps been undervaluing that? Okay. There's also something here about really solidifying your message, that it's time to wipe the slate clean of speaking about, I'm hearing it, it's almost like channeled right now, so I'm going to have to just say it. This might not apply to everybody, but there's something here about it's time to stop speaking from a place of about something in your life that's maybe happened that's put you in kind of a feeling of being a victim. It's time to release that. It's time to speak now only from a place of empowerment and from a place of, this is what I'm working towards. This is what I want to build. This is what I've been through that is helping me get towards X, Y, and Z. It's a change for you, a change in how you've, I think, maybe even spoken out loud to yourself about your own journey. Now, that's not going to be for all of you, but there's something that definitely came through as a channeled message there for some of you. Okay, so Aquarius, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pull a final card here for the concept of contemplation, where we're going to see what Spirit would like you to reflect on for the month of March. Basically a theme or an energy or a message as to where you can hold yourself accountable to keeping in mind and living by for the month of March. Okay, Aquarius, we have boundaries. It says, where do you need to establish better boundaries? Interesting. So I think this does tie in very well with knowing that there needs to be a change to take place here, to start to move towards your Ten of Cups, start to lean in to really believing the Ten of Cups in the way that you would like for yourself is possible for you. But those boundaries are going to have to be put up in order for you to do that. And to a certain extent, this could be boundaries towards, again, if you know, for instance, that how another group of people are going to look at you, if you know that that's going to bother you and that's going to prevent you from actually taking action on your own behalf, then it's time to maybe stop looking at putting yourself in situations where others are going to maybe tell you that your Ten of Cups isn't for you, or that it's unrealistic. Or this might be maybe not going on social media, making the choice to not actually look at what other people are posting, so that you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to put yourself in a place where you see that. You don't have to hear everybody else's thoughts about other things if they directly impact you in a way that's going to prevent you from really leaning into this version of kind of heaven on earth for yourself. This can also be where you maybe there's a part of yourself that you need to put up a boundary to yourself. You know, maybe there is this emperor here that's within you that's constantly telling you, like, nope, you can't do that. Nope, it's in your best interest. Just you put the time and energy. You can't do that. You can't walk away from this. You can't walk away from that. You can't. And it's like time to put a boundary against that inside you. What do you mean you can't walk away from that? What do you mean I've put too much time and energy? And if I'm still breathing and my heart's still beating, I have time enough to make a change. I'm worth more. There's also this feeling almost too coming through of I think you know you're worth more, but there's a part of yourself that you are not allowing yourself to recognize just kind of how powerful this passion is, how powerful you truly are. And that I think you might need to put up a boundary within yourself against that as well. To know that there's more for yourself and to admit it to yourself and to allow yourself to break through to that boundary within you of like, I can actually, it's almost like I'm getting a strong feeling of like you're holding your cup, your one cup between you and the divine, and you're holding it within you. And it's like the 10 of cups are all around it. And all you have to do is kind of just like hold the cup up and spill it. And all the 10 cups will just, be full. But you're not, it's almost like there's a boundary around that cup perhaps that needs to come down. You don't have to so hold that cup of emotion so precious. It's time to release it. Feel into it. Move out of your head, Aquarius, and into that emotional core of yourself. And that's what's going to allow you to actually transcend on a mental level. Is you have to kind of let the emotions floweth over. And if that means you have to have a good cathartic cry because you've realized how much you've undervalued yourself, how much you've allowed yourself to kind of just, this could be like where you realize suddenly, wow, I've dedicated 10 years to somebody else's business and they've barely given me a raise in 10 years. And yet I've been the one to help grow the business from nothing to where it is today. And suddenly you have this realization of like, oh my gosh, that person doesn't value my unique gift as much. I've allowed myself to be valued at that, and I know I'm so much more. It's almost like that realization of like, I'm capable of so much more. I've been holding myself back. But that's a hard realization to come to and to really lean into, because it's one where we have to realize, wow, it's kind of my fault. I've allowed myself to be in this position. I've allowed myself to maybe accept less than what I was ultimately hoping for. But once you know that, it's very empowering, because then you can say, well, I'm not going to do it anymore. And I know what I'm capable of. And you know what? I am going to let that cup floweth over. I'm going to emotionally connect to what I want for myself and have faith that others can just focus on themselves as I will focus on myself. And I'm going to break that boundary down between me emotionally just kind of leaning into things and me kind of hiding behind the night. All right, Aquarius, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you all have a wonderful and illuminating month of March. If you would like to illuminate your own personal spiritual importance and to see how it can be of service to yourself and others, you could click on the link in my description box below to book a personal reading or a one-on-one coaching session. And if I don't see you until April, have a wonderfully loving and 10 of Cups planning type of month. Bye, Aquarius.